Hello, today on Leading with Purpose, I am honored to welcome Megan Moore, a professional storyteller, gourmet natural food chef, and the Director of Client Services at Center for Functional Nutrition. Megan's journey is one of transformation, self-discovery, and stepping into leadership with heart and clarity. In her chapter of Soulful Leadership, Elevating Purpose and Empowering Change, the chapter is the story of the red belt. From our newest anthology, Megan shares deeply personal and symbolic story of the red belt, a gift she received over 40 years ago that continues to shape her journey of empowerment and purpose. I'm excited to explore Megan's story and the lessons that it holds for all of us about embracing our voice, stepping into leadership, and living with intention. Hello, Megan. Welcome.
Hello, Mark. Thank you.
I'm so excited to be on this journey of leading with purpose with you. And I'm going to have a second call with your husband, Russell. You've been a part of MetaMind now for several years, and I've really enjoyed really just watching your journey and learning more about the past. And it was really fun hearing this story of the red belt. Before we dive into that, I'm wondering, tell us a little bit about the work that you and Russell do.
Oh, we provide, thanks for asking, Mark. We provide products and services in a global community to people that have digestive wellness issues. So we've been doing this for over 40 years, and it's an incredibly satisfying service that we provide because I think it's because of the people that we work with, because they are always so grateful to have found us and to be working specifically with Russell as their coach, and then with me as there in the background, but often providing the products and then providing a service of support. So that's it in a nutshell.
I love that service of support because I relate a lot of the role that you do with my wife, with Renee, and often called her the wizard behind the curtain, and really how it makes everything work as part of the team, and really being able to stand that you are a team, and how that all plays into it. And again, it's been really fun because I've seen you supporting Russell, and you've done that for many, many years. And the same thing with Renee. You know, she was supporting me, but now she's kind of stepping into the forefront. And I see your own expansion in your business, but I'm curious to hear about the story without having to tell the whole thing. We'd love to have readers check out your chapter, but maybe you can give us kind of a synopsis of what this red belt story was for you. And again, you're such a masterful storyteller. I hope everybody will read the chapter, but kind of give us a taste of what that story meant to you and why you wanted to share that now.
Yeah, it was really unexpected. I didn't know that I was going to share that story, and it wasn't until this past summer of 2024, that when you asked me to include a chapter in the book, I thought, well, what am I going to write about? And it was like it came in with a whoosh, and there it was. And it was a story that had to be told, and that was the time to tell it. It happened many, many years ago. It happened at Lesley College in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I was at a storytelling festival. And I was in a story circle that was being given by a Native American. And he was a very handsome man, and I was attracted to him. And I was ultimately curious. I've always been a curious person. I think curiosity is what has really driven me, one of my drivers in my life. And he had on this frayed old red belt. And I thought, why would anybody ever wear a belt like that? Because he had turquoise jewelry and he was well dressed in a nice blue shirt and blue pants. And so I asked him, I said, what's the story of the red belt? And he said, well, that's the story for you to tell. And he took off the red belt and handed it to me. And for all these years, it's hung in my closet, and I've looked at it now and again. And life has happened with children and business and everything else. And as I thought about it and thought about the story of the red belt, I started looking at my journey and realizing from that point to the summer of 2024 where I've come. And part of my journey has been finding my voice. And I think that that's the story of the red belt. And that's why I'm so, how would I say it? I am enjoying where I am because I have a voice that's based on many, many years of experiences, and some of them good, some of them bad. But it is the articulation of those and then the standing in the leadership of that that I think is the significance of the red belt.
Mm, absolutely. And I love that again, he was not telling you what the story was, but allowing you to explore and discover it for yourself and to tell the story yourself, which again, it feels like it is now ready to be told. As a professional storyteller, how has the art of storytelling helped you to connect with your purpose and inspire others?
Well, I think as a storyteller, it's something that it's an art that came very naturally to me. But I wasn't able to connect that and business. It was like the storytelling was in one hand and then business was in the other hand.
Mm,
And I wasn't easily able to connect the two of them. So as a storyteller, I was not shy because it just, the stories would flow out of me. But as a business person, I was afraid to open my mouth for fear of saying something wrong. I didn't, for fear of saying something wrong, really. And so it took me a long time to be able to tie those two strands together and to realize that I have the ability as a storyteller and as a manager of a business. It's one and the same. They weave back and forth.
hmm And when you show up in MetaMind, um, you are always in an observation mode and seeing what's going on. And then when you speak, it's like poetry.
Mm.
It's always so very eloquent. And I'm always at the edge of my seat listening to what you have to say. Um, and I'm just curious again, for you with the storytelling. You've done a lot of job with telling other people's stories, especially because of so many people that you and Russell have helped with very serious chronic health issues that nobody else could solve. And every week you have a small gathering of people who share stories, right? And some of the things that they've had. Um, I'm just curious how that plays into like the testimonials and the stories that you hear from other people, how that plays into your work.
Oh gosh, they're huge. They're always so heartfelt because I know the beginnings and the middles and the endings
Mm.
of these people who have placed their trust in us. And and I'm always amazed at the client's trust that they've given to us. And I'm honored by that. And it's also a tremendous responsibility. And it cannot happen without that person. They're like 100% part of it, part of that process of healing. And over a period of time, they begin to trust themselves and in their body's capability to heal. And so when I hear story after story when I hear so many stories like that, uh, it's quite profound. And it's mostly profound in the humanity of it, in the fact that each person has this capability. And then in our amazing bodies that want all the cells in our body want for our health. And so given the products and the service and the caretaking, they do their job.
Hmm. Yeah, I love how you also have a very holistic approach to what health is. Our physical health is one of the most important things, but you also talk about the shift from doing things out of necessity to doing them out of passion and purpose. And
Mm.
what inspired this change, and how do you see it as transforming your approach to life and work?
Yeah, so Russell is the health expert. And then, as you know, Mark, there are lots of other parts of the business. And as Renee knows, there's lots of other parts of the business that have to be done. And so I kind of landed there in all those other parts of the business that have
The other
to be
80% of the company.
done. So, and I did those because I'm at heart a very responsible person. I'm the oldest daughter of in a family of 7, so I think I inherited that. And it came in in a very early age when I took care of my brothers and sisters and helped my mother and father and all that kind of stuff. So I came into that quite naturally too, but I never owned it. It was always things that I had to do because I was never able to see myself in that role. And it wasn't until I actually began to understand the service and how just me with my heartfelt compassion and listening capabilities, what a difference that could make for a person. And so in all my conversations now, I bring I bring that to them. I bring myself into the conversations. I'm no longer divided.
Hmm.
I have an intention now that I did not have before. And I think that that's all part of the journey of the red belt and the maturity. And that is what makes the job, I'll say job, rewarding. I mean, it
Hmm.
is a job. Practically, it's a job. It's what I do every day. But and now it has a whole different sense of landing within me.
I love that the story again, going back to your childhood and being the oldest of 7, because again, that relates so much to Renee, being the oldest of 5 and doing the same thing, starting to be a parent at a very young age of your siblings, and how that
Mhm.
makes you so responsible and being able to help all of the pieces. And you become a solution-based thinker, so you don't have to know everything. You can figure it out on the fly. And again, I love that the partnership about how you two work together the same way that Renee and I do. And I'm interested because your relationship with Russell is such a, excuse me, a key part of your journey. I'm curious, how has your partnership influenced your growth as a leader, but also as an individual?
Well, that's a very interesting part. So in a marriage, we have a lot of different roles, and ours is even more because we're in business together. And we work together in our business, we raised our children, we uh, are marriage partners. So there's a lot there. And so I've been thinking a lot about this recently. And it uh, it's demanding in the sense Sorry, Mark, you'll have to ask me that question again.
Yeah, no, no. So it's really just how the dynamics in your relationship, and you're spot on exactly all of those things, because I relate to all of those things, and to anybody who might be a duopreneur when you're in business with your spouse. My very first coach said he didn't recommend it. He said if you're going to business, you're going to either your business will fail or your marriage will fail, but something's going to
Right.
fail. And so there's one is how you lead in your business. There's how you lead in your marriage. I haven't paid a bill in 20 years. That's not my role. I don't take care of those things. I'm not good at, she spot on it. No bills are late ever. And um, the same thing with parenting. They have the different pieces of it, and how you play that back and forth of where your leadership shows up in each of those roles, but also where your individuality plays into that. I guess we could start with how the leadership piece fits into that dynamic.
Well, if you don't mind, I think I'll start with the individuality
Oh, good.
because there's the individuality within a relationship, and that can get really clouded when there are so many demands, the marriage, the business, the bringing up children. It's like, who am I? Where am I in this relationship? And where is Russell in this relationship? And I think in order for a relationship to be very successful, there has to be that individuation. And I think that that happens over a long period of time. And it's like, he's here and I'm here. This is me. This is Russell. And then there's how do we relate? And then that's a learning process. And it's learning how to say sorry and really mean it. It's learning how to say sorry without resentment. It's learning how to say, okay, it's learning how to, we have something we call a talking stick. So when somebody is holding the talking stick, uh, it's, we create a sacred space there.
Mhm.
And that's a signal that triggers a true listening and a respect for this space, which then, and I think Russell wrote about this in his chapter, which then creates, okay, everything crashed. What are we going to do about it? What do we want to do about it? And that happens a lot.
Mhm. I love the idea of, again, bringing the talking stick into it. For anybody who may not be familiar with a talking stick, what is the role or purpose of a talking stick?
Well, it is creating a sacred space and a space that's outside of each person where you can actually live and communicate. And the respect for that space has been created ahead of time. This is where we can trust. This is a space that we can trust to be able to speak honestly, say what we have to say, have the other person listen and respond, rather than have a reactive response, which might just then ignite more commotion.
Mhm. Well, again, this is a great strategy for communicating, and especially in leadership as a couple and as parents. This is something that you've also been able to pass on to your boys.
Mhm.
So that kind of leads into the big question with our show, Leading with Purpose. Um, Given everything that you shared today, what does leading with purpose mean to you, and how do you see it now showing up in your life?
I think even more recently, this whole sense of leading a word and purpose as another word has come out for me even more and more recently. And it's come out of a space of how am I going to be in the world during this time, during this actual time of January 1925, with all the horrific things that are going on. And I had a very troubling week last week because of all of this. And one morning, I would have been stewing about this. It's been rumbling around, and I was at a loss. I wasn't quite sure. And then the answer that came to me was, and still is, be a leader. Because I know what that means. And I know that sometimes I'll be more successful than other times, but I know that I'm able to do that. And so there's a purpose there that comes into that, an intention that comes into that. And so I've been, repeating it to myself often. And it's been very, very helpful.
That is so timely. Again, that it's been something that's been showing up for you. Um, and again, how it's so timely right now to be leading with clear intention. And again, I appreciate how conscious you are of what's happening in the world and your role in it.
Yes, it seems to be the best thing.
Hmm.
That's what I hear the call as being.
Repeat that one more time then. What is the call that you're hearing?
To lead with to be a leader and to lead with those with honesty, with kindness, with generosity, with service, with strength, with boldness, with consistency, all of those words. Our voices are the strongest voices because I think our voices are what it means to be human.
That's so beautiful. I'm getting a huge breakthrough just from hearing you and talking about what we can do most to create the change is just to be leaders and to stay in our lane and to be able to be the leaders in our domain.
Mm.
Appreciate that. Megan, I'm so grateful again to be on this journey with you and Russell and you're really the whole family. Uh, what would you share as last words of advice or anything that you might want to have as parting words?
Mm. Laughter, fun, seriousness. I mean, all of those things. Um, but I think that laughter is like the antidote. It's really so helpful. And being grateful every day and to acknowledge what is important in your life every single day, every moment. My goodness. I mean, weather happens all the time, every day, every minute, and it's always how one responds to that. So, yeah.
I like
So,
laughter and gratitude. Those are
yeah.
powerful.
Hmm.
Laughter is often underrated, and uh, gratitude we can never say enough about. So
Right.
beautiful. Well, thank you again, Megan. Big hug to you. Much love. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing your story in our book, but also your stories all the time with your clients. And I look forward to hearing more from them.
Well, thank you, Mark, and thank you, Renee, because I know that you're there somewhere in Mark's circle there. So thank you both for all that you also bring into this world.
Mm, yummy, yummy.
Mm.
Thank you all for being here. We look forward to hearing your comments. Please comment below. You'll see all of the links for Megan and Russell in the comments below. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Leading with Purpose. We hope today's conversation has inspired you to lead with purpose and make a meaningful impact. If you're ready to discover where you stand on your leadership journey, I invite you to take the Soulful Leadership Assessment. It's a powerful tool to help you align with your leadership style and your true purpose.